Good morning, good morning. Let's see if I can see my comments on here today. Of course not. You would think eventually I would have this like down pat, but unfortunately what happens is every time I think there we go. Comments are working. Okay. Every time I think that I am all figured out and everything, then we change some kind of tech thing around here and I'm like all discombobulated again. So anyway, I do have some new tech, so hopefully my more professional types of videos will end up being really great. I am stuck over here at my messy polishing bench today. So, well, hi, we got a few people on. I'm over here at my polishing bench today, so my super cool new tech stuff isn't going to get used, but we will make do again. And eventually I'll have all the new tech all over the whole studio. Wouldn't that be great? So today I thought that I would share with you a little bit about some polishing and how I do patina on some of my pieces. The thing that I was kind of working on, I've got some things that I'm making for the symposium, which I think we're only 2 weeks out now, so I'm getting really excited. I had to make a couple more class samples and things, so I thought I would show you guys how I go about polishing them. I've got sitting here. Hey, hi everybody. And hopefully I'll be able to see all the comments today. I think I've got it set up right. So I've got a piece here that of course is all tangled, so I'm working on it. But that's okay, we're waiting for people to come on anyway. I've got a piece here that is fine silver with a sterling silver chain and clasp. And I've already used a on it, okay? So it's dark gray now. I hope I just bleeped out for a second. Tell me if I'm okay. It seems like that was kind of a weird little glitchy thing that happened. I don't know what just happened there. Anyway, I've got this necklace that I've already dipped in liver of sulfur. So this is a fine silver necklace with a sterling chain on it. And what I want to do is I'm really trying to add some dimension into my piece. It is a very shiny, bright, white silver. You know, fine silver is very, very bright. So I want to see some of these little tiny details that I've got in here. So I wanted to use a very dark patina so that, and then bring out that silver on the surface, on the high areas again, so that I can see that dimension and that detail in my work. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do today. So I've already patinaed it, and the way that I did that was I put some liver of sulfur gel. I like using that. I put 1 drop in about a cup of hot water, and I keep the water hot. That's important. The hotter this is, the better it works. Okay, there probably is a temperature limit to it. You definitely don't want it boiling. but really nice and warm, okay? Let my metal sit in there for a few minutes and take it out and rinse it off, and you will end up with kind of a real dark gray like that, okay? So my next step is going to be removing that patina from the high surfaces of the piece so that I start to get that dimension, and then my last step will be that final polish on it, okay, to get that nice shine again. So let me turn you around. This is going to be nice and messy. So I'm going to turn you guys around so that you can see what I'm doing a little bit closer up, okay? Okie doke. So again, oh, I probably should make it so that you guys are facing the right direction, right? Yeah, that'd probably help you out. Okay, so again, there's my piece. The first thing that I'm going to do is remove the patina on the high surfaces, okay? So I'm just going to start on some of these bigger pieces so that you can see it better. I've got a 3M sanding foam. This is kind of a fine, it says. You could use like a fine or even a super fine will work. Let's see what this one is. Yeah, I got fines on both of them. It's got a little bit of tooth to it, you know, it's not super soft. I'm going to use that to start removing some of that patina, okay? See how you can tell it's starting to remove there? And again, I'm doing this so that I can highlight the areas of my work that I really want the detail to show on. Like these little tiny buds that are right here, I really want those to pop out on this piece. And I want this texture that I've got in here to pop out as well. So I'm taking that foam pad and just running it down through here. In different directions so that I can start to see that texture come out. Okay. And I like using the foam for this because I can stick it down into some of those crevices. Focus it where I want to focus it. Okay. So now I think the face of that looks pretty nice. You can see it as compared to the other one now, right? Okay. And I'm going to go down on the sides. Take some of that off. See how it really helps bring dimension to the piece. That's what I'm looking for in this. I'm wanting to be able to see all that detail. One spot in there I'm trying to get. Okay, I think that's pretty good for that one. And I'm going to do the other ones the same way. Okay, so I'll go ahead and do that. I'll talk about something else for a minute because this will take me a second to do. In case you guys weren't paying attention, I know all of you are metal clay lovers, PMC is on sale, which like never happens. So I thought I would mention it again today in case you weren't paying attention. We've been posting it all over the place because it's a big deal. Actually, I don't know that I've ever seen it 15% off. So that's really just more than I've ever seen it go on sale. Oh, hi, Terry. How are you? Hope you're doing well. I thought I would show everybody today how to do, you know, kind of highlight patina. So anyway, PMC is on sale for 15% off retail. That is more, again, that's more than I've ever seen it, okay? So if you think you're going to need some in the next probably 6 months, this is probably the cheapest that you will see it. I mean, I can't guarantee that because I'm not the manufacturer, but I've never seen it go on sale that much. So I can tell you that personally, my little inventory went up. So I know Clay Revolution has it 15% off retail. You don't get, like, if you've got a certification discount or something like that, that's not on top of it. it's not in addition to. So it's 15% off total. And I know that, yes, Patina makes everything pop. It's so gorgeous. I know that, I think Cool Tools has it at 5% off, and I think Rio is running 10%. So if that gives you guys some help while you're looking for it. But we decided to go the full 15. Oh, and actually you get a little free mini mold. I almost forgot about that. You get a free mini mold if you order it. It's on sale this week. I think it's Wednesday to Tuesday. So you have to get it before next Tuesday. Otherwise that will be over. And like I said, I don't expect that it's going to go back on sale. So okay, that one I think is pretty good. I think I need a little more in there. Okay, there we go. And I know we got a bunch more people on now, so I'll go ahead and restate what I'm doing today. I thought it would help to show you guys kind of my process that I go through when I'm going to do a patina on something that I want to really pop. So I've got this branching necklace here that I'm working on, and I really wanted to see the depth and dimension in that piece. So I ran a liver of sulfur patina on it, okay, and you can probably see the difference now between this piece and these pieces over here. So this is just full patina, okay, and now I'm going in with a fine 3M grit foam pad. That's my favorite for doing this because I can kind of get into all the little areas that I want to get into. And I'm brushing the high surface with that, just like that, to remove the patina, okay? And I'm just removing as much as I want to remove. And that is totally up to you. Everybody likes a different amount. And normally, it's funny, normally I like super shiny, so I usually don't do a lot of patina, but this particular piece really required it. I wanted to see all that detail that I sculpted into these branches and all these little pods and things like that are on there. So I really wanted to do something that, you know, highlighted that. So I definitely need a good patina for that. So almost done with this one. And then I'll show you what I'm going to do on the chain, because that's another one that's kind of tricky to do. Make sure you do the sides. Okay, there we go. So now on the chain, you can see my chain is really dark, right? I want that chain to be, you know, a little bit sparkly, okay? I don't want it to stand out too much because I definitely don't want it to take away from my necklace, but I do want some sparkle. Right now it's just completely dark gray, kind of a charcoaly color. So the way that I'm going to do that is super easy. I'm just going to put the chain between my fingers in here. So it usually takes a little bit to kind of get it to pull in the right direction. There we go. And I'm going to run it through that sander just a little bit. A couple different directions. And then I'll let you see what that did. Compared to there. See how that really gave a gorgeous difference now. You can really see the shine much better in that piece. Okay, so do that on each one of them. Super easy, right? Super easy. It's really going to take this piece to the next level. Okay, and then I'm going to do a little bit on my clasp up here. Let's start. Wow. Oh, thank you, Terry. I appreciate that. This is one of the ones that I'm teaching at the symposium, so I needed to make a couple extra class samples. Okay. I'm done. Okay, so now we've got patina removed from the areas that I wanted it removed from. Now, I tend to I told you, I like shiny things. So I'm going to go back in and shine and bring up a higher polish on the areas that are really light, okay? The way that I'm going to do that is with a bristle brush a little bit, and then with a burnisher, okay? So, let me show you that. So I'm going to use, for this one, because it's so small, oh, you'll enjoy this. So I am always about using my little micromotor, my little mini bench polishing motor, this little guy, but with my, bristle disc wheels and stuff. But I have wrapped one of these necklaces around the motor before. So I'm a little bit more careful about how I do that now. So I'm going to use my micromotor to do it. So let me get a bit in here. And I think I'm just going to go with probably like a peach level. I think that's going to be fine for this. I'm not looking for super, super high shine. So let's make sure I'm going the right direction. Yes, I am. Okay. So I'm going to be very careful while I hold this because I do not want any of that to wrap around that mandrel. So I'm going to be very specific. Okay. And I'm just going to run that back and forth over a little bit of the piece, okay? The areas that I really just kind of don't want to spend a ton of time with the burnisher, like this tiny cup right here. It's going to be virtually impossible to burnish that cup well. So I'm going to run my bristle discs in there. And I don't think this was a strong enough grit. So let's take that back down. That means we're going to go with pink. Oh, and of course I don't have enough bristles on my pink, so you get to see me load this. Okay. So these little mandrels. Now, I don't sell these little ones because I don't use them that much. I use the bigger ones much, much, much more. So, but I'll show you because I know a lot of you have these. These little mandrels come with a screw and a mandrel part. You're going to take your discs. Let's see. I think I'm going to go with the bigger ones. Make sure they're all facing the right direction. I usually put at least 3 of them on there. Okay. Put your screw through the middle. And screw them onto your mantle. Now, when I do this, my micromotor is actually reversible, so it makes it very simple for me. I can make it spin one way or spin the other way, but many of them are not like that. They only spin one direction. So you're supposed to put your bristle discs on the correct direction, because if it spins this way, you're going to break those discs off. See that? Right? So you need to make sure that it's spinning this way before you start using it. That's really important, okay? So before I do anything, I'm going to look at it and make sure it's spinning the right direction. It is. Okay. So let's try this again. Yeah, that's taken off a little bit more than it's working a little better for me. And again, be super careful with that chain. And I don't need to do much of this. I just want to get rid of some of those grit lines that I put on when I sanded it. I'm going to do the rest of my polishing with a burnisher. Okay, one more. Now, another thing that I'll probably do is tumble this, because I'd like to get that chain, especially since this is a sample piece for a class. I want to get that chain super shiny, so I'm probably going to tumble this piece as well, but that is really going to just kind of beat that shine into it up here on the chain. That's the part that I'll be focused on when I'm tumbling. Okay, so that was that part. Now I'm going to burnish it so that I can really focus the shine, because that's going to add even more dimension to the piece. Okay, this is a rubber block. I like to use these when I do the burnishing. You want your piece up off of the table so that you have better hand control. It's more ergonomic. Okay, it's going to help you control your piece much better. And the rubber block versus something like a wood block helps hold the piece seat. It doesn't slide quite as much. It kind of helps grip the piece a little bit more. This one has a hole in it, which is my very favorite. Let me see if I can find you a sample to explain why there's a hole. Hang on, you'll enjoy this. Here we go. Okay, so let's say that you are going to burnish this piece with the stone in it, okay? You can do that really just fine because the back of it is flat. But once you're trying to do the back of it, you can't do that because it's wobbly. The stone goes in the hole. This one's a little bit small, but you understand the point. So that's what the hole is for. Everybody asks me that all the time. Okay, so back to this. So what we're going to do is run the burnisher on the things that I want to grab attention, okay? So I ran that particular line, right? That's a very important line. I want that line to sparkle. You know, in my overall piece, that line needs to sparkle, right? So I ran that down there. I think I'm going to hit the tip of this down here as well. Up here a little bit, and up here a little bit. Okay, maybe just a tiny bit up on this connector point. Okay, I want the edges of these pods to sparkle. Hopefully, you guys can see the difference between those two pieces. I know it's a little tough on video, so I'm moving it around a little bit, but hopefully you can see that. When that hangs, that is really going to catch more light, more attention, especially like another thing to remember, this is going to hang. Most people will be looking kind of down at it, right? So I always try to get an angle like this with my stones or my highlights, my design as well, because people don't usually look straight on it. It's usually a bit more of an angle that they're looking at something. So try, like I'm going to set stones in this piece. I'm going to set them so that, and you can see probably the placement of these cups to hold the stones is actually at a bit of an angle up versus sticking straight off the face of this piece. Okay, so that will make a difference in your work as well. So I'll burnish the rest of these real quick here, and then I'll talk to you about the tumbling of this. So, how do you tumble something like this? I will tell you, you definitely don't just throw it in the tumbler. Ask me how I know that. You guys know I'm kind of self-taught, so I learned everything the hard way. You run we'll call it a protector chain or wire or something through the piece before you put it in the tumbler, okay? So I will show you how to do that. Okay, I'm pretty satisfied with that. Okie dokie. Lisa Vaughn, I just worked on your order this morning. I can't make it to the symposium this year, but will you be in Pittsburgh next year? Oh, Terry! Yes, I am planning to go to Pittsburgh. It's really going to be complicated, though. I personally have something that I have to go to that week. So Cameron is intending on bringing the Clay Revolution booth. Terry's talking about the Center Symposium, or the Center Conference in Pittsburgh next year. And so what I'm thinking I may have to do is maybe just come the first day and the last day or something like that, because I have to be in Missouri. So it's going to be a little bit complicated. Okay, so I've got my piece now ready for the tumbler, okay? I am not going to throw this chain into the tumbler because it will just turn into a matted nightmare, okay? So the way that I do that is find... Hang on. some wire. Okay, now you can use lots of things to do this. You could use pipe cleaner, you could use string if you got a decent string. Okay, anything is fine. I'm gonna use some wire because I have a ton of cheap craft wire around all the time. So I'll take a piece of wire and I'm going to string it through occasionally. Okay, now this necklace, it wiggles, right? I don't want that to get broken either. So I'm going to do that as well. Hi, Amber. Thank you. I'll tell you guys too, after I finish this little part here, I'll go back because I don't know who on here didn't hear the first part of everything. But there's a humongous sale happening right now. So I don't want you guys to miss it because it's a big deal. Okay, one more. Okay, so that's how I've got that thing. And I'm gonna twist that wire together so that it stays more like, see how it stays more like one piece now? It's not gonna twist itself into a knot. That's what I am trying to avoid. Okay. Cut that off. And now I can tumble that. So I can get that shine back on. I'm not going to tumble this for a really long time. It's a fine silver, you know. It should be easy to get a little bit more shine on there. And really, I really want the chain to have a little shine, so that's really what I was focused on. So I'm going to throw that in the tumbler for a while, and then I'll be setting stones in it. I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Let's see. Neither one of these are patinaed, but you get the idea. So this one is totally white. I didn't, well, I burnished the tips of the silver on this, but I liked leaving those branches white because, you know, that's kind of cool about metal clay. So I left this one white and then just did the tips and stuff of the branches, and the little cups I did silver. So I burnished those a little bit on that one. And then this one is all silver, polished, but not patinaed. So this one is closer to the same design of that one that you saw a second ago. Thank you, Terry. I appreciate it. So this one has little peridot in it, rough peridot, and this one has Afghanistan diamonds in it. So just totally fun, organic looking pieces, you know. Okay, so let me come back up if I can figure out how to do all this type of stuff here. You can see my mess. Okay, so make sure I didn't miss any comments. Last time around, I had all kinds of comments I missed. I don't know what was going on. No, I think I got everything. Okay, so if you weren't here at the beginning when I was talking, PMC is on sale. It never goes on sale. I personally have never seen it on sale for this much. Now, it's been lower price when silver price was lower, right? But I've never seen it on sale for 15% off. So that is humongous. So your favorite suppliers, I happen to know all of them because I'm paying attention to what everybody's doing. So Rio has it on sale for 10%. Cool Tools is 5%. Metalclays.com is 5%. And Art Clay doesn't have PMC. I was like, there's another one. Who's the other one? Art Clay doesn't have PMC. So, and we went full out and went the wholesale with it. So we have it at 15% off with a free mini mold. Okay. It started yesterday. It goes till Tuesday night. So if you think you need PMC from a person who buys a lot of PMC, I will tell you now is the time to buy it. For sure. Okay. If you're online and you're coming to the symposium, it's only 2 weeks away. If you want to just pick it up at the symposium, put a note on your order. I've got several people already that wanted to just do that. So put a note on the order and we'll deliver it to the symposium for you. Okay. Okay. What questions do you guys have? Come on. Get you guys talking. Ask me how long it takes me to make one of those necklaces. How about that? I'm just trying to get you guys talking. Let's see. What else could I talk about while I'm waiting for you guys to comment? I think the other thing I get is I get a little bit of a delay. So those necklaces are made with fine silver. That took a 15 gram. Okay. What's your most used formula for bezels and how long did they take? Okay. Most used formula for bezels, like I think you mean my process. And the chain. Gotcha. Okay. So I really like soldering on bezel cups and bezel tubes. That's my favorite thing to do. I tend to not like fired in place stones quite as much because it's harder to get a refined look, and you get, the clay warps and twists and moves, and so it's just not, I would say it's not my style to do it. So I tend to do more of the soldering on afterwards, or even fusing. You can do that as well. Oh, there's a hummingbird outside of my window. Oh, he's so cute. Okay, the example of that is this. This is a pretty good example. So this piece is PMC. Okay, this is a Argentium wire, and this is a piece of PMC again. That stone is set in a regular straight wall sterling bezel cup that was soldered on. Okay, so I'd say that's my standard thing to do. Those necklaces take just about a day to make. Okay, I do all of the PMC work first. That is PMC 3. It was a 15 gram pack of PMC 3 takes to do that. Okay. And I sculpt all of that wet, the whole thing. So it's a little bit challenging, but there's a way that I kind of developed that I like to do it. How are you setting your stones? I'll answer that one too. Oh, now the questions are coming. Now I can't keep up. So I'll scroll back and I'll get to them. The technique that I use is to keep all of the clay wet of the whole thing while I'm working on it. Calculating shrinkage a bit, pre-drawing out my design, stuff like that. So I do that, get the whole thing constructed, and then dry the whole thing and fire that. Then I use Argentium jump rings, fuse on the chain and hook the three pieces. Well, this one's all connected now, but this one, hook the 3 different pieces together, right? And I think I just dropped something. I don't know. Don't you love that when you don't know what you dropped? So I fuse the jump rings together on that and put the chain on there. And that's the reason that I put the chain on before I patinaed, because I want my chain to match my piece. Everybody does, there's a different way, right? And there is no right or wrong way. You could have a patinaed chain and an unpatinaed piece, or they could be different. It doesn't matter. I happen to try to get my chain to match my piece. So I buy unpatinaed chain when I'm working, and then that way, whatever it is that I end up making, I can make my chain the same way, right? So I have, if I do, like this one is unpatinaed, right? If I do an unpatinaed piece, I have an unpatinaed chain. If I do a patinaed piece, I have the chain now that matches it because I patina the chain the same way. That's why I put the chain on at the same time. Okay? Okay, let's see, what other questions did I get? Okay, why did you put the chain on before? Okay, how long does it take? It takes just about a day to make that whole piece. Okay, because while it's firing, then I'm working on my jump rings and cutting my chain a little bit, you know. And then after that, I put, I actually do tumble them first. I tumble my metal clay pieces first just to kind of seal up the pores a little bit, you know, where you don't have to because you're not soldering or fusing anything to it, but it helps just create any additional, or reduce any additional problems with the fusing. Okay, how are you setting your stones? I'm epoxying these stones, and that was what I was going to show you. I forgot all about that part. No, I'll just use this one. So these are, I do it different ways. If the cups are bigger, then you can set that stone in there. The cups are such a thin wall. They're super fine. Those little cups, they're too little to see on here, okay? But they're so small that I actually take them, I don't know if you've ever seen me do that on a video before, and I roll the walls of the cup so that they're thin. They're like paper thin, okay? It's not like taking a ball of clay and putting a embossing ball in it. It's not like that. That makes more of like a pod kind of, you know, with a little divot in it. This is taking a ball of clay and rolling the edges thin. Okay, the walls are really thin. So if it's a big cup, I actually will bend the cup edges to hold the stone. Okay. If they're little bitty cups like this, the stones are so big compared to them. I don't even try. So I use epoxy to put these in there. I use a really nice epoxy that I like to do it with. So let's see if I can get you a close-up on that. It's just not gonna. But see how they're standing up off the surface of that? That's kind of what I'm talking about. So that's why I use epoxy to put those in there. Okay. And we sell that one because it's the only one I'll use for it. It's a 5-minute, but it's really a 24-hour cure, but it's a 5-minute hold. Clear 2-part in tiny tubes. Only buy it in tiny tubes. Never buy a big tube of epoxy because it will go bad before you even remotely use any of it. Okay, let's see. Do patina pieces in Tumbler affect shiny silver pieces? Like a cross-contamination. I have had that happen, yes. Now, it's not going to like totally patina the other piece, but you do transfer some of that darkness. You absolutely do. Okay, so yeah, I don't mix those together. Sorry, I was thinking about making clay bezels. What's your most used silver clay formula? Okay. I'm not sure, Amber, I'm not sure I understand your question exactly. Are you asking me how I make a clay bezel for a fireable stone? Are you talking about like the shrinkage rates and things like that? I think that might be what you're talking about. If that's the case, I go with a roughly 10% rate, okay? Now, I know that all the clays are different. And if I have a dramatic one, I would take that into consideration. But most of the time, I'm using a 999 or a 950 for that kind of work. What type of clay do I use the most? Okay, there we go. Now I know what you're talking about. I use 2 different. No, that's not true. I use 3. There's 3 that I use the most, and I'm guessing you're talking about silver. If I'm using silver clay, I use PMC 3 to sculpt with. Okay, it holds the texture better. It does what I'm trying to make it do. Okay, if I put a line in it, it's got a line in it. So I use PMC3 for sculpting. Okay, I use PMC Flex for basic work, like rolled out textures, molds, you know, like the pieces that were on here I told you about, those are rolled out textures. I use PMC Flex for that because the drying time is so slow. I can leave the ball of clay out on my desk while I'm working it. I don't have to worry about rehydrating and all that stuff. So I use PMC Flex for that one. And then the other one I use is PMC 950. That is a sterling that is super white. So it's barely darker than the 999, and it is really, really, really much stronger. So if I'm using it for rings, I don't make, well, there's a couple that I will. Most of the time, because I'm gonna try not to break all my rules that I tell you guys all the time. Most of the time, if I'm making a ring, I will use 950 for that because it'll make it so much stronger. Okay. So those are my favorite silvers. If you're talking about base metals, I manufacture 5-star metal clays. So of course, those are the ones I use for that. And I made those so that they are sculptors clays. So they're on the dry side, but a really refined particle size. So they're smooth but dry, which means it helps you sculpt better. So, no problem, no problem. Okay. Do you have questions on any other clays? I mean, I can talk about any of the clays you want me to talk about. I'm happy to do that. That's just what I use. It helps, it does, I'll say, help to stick with a clay, you know, especially when you're kind of learning. The sciencey, fiery part of the clay is not always easy to understand, and if somebody's not explaining that to you well, then, you know, when you change to a different clay and you have a problem with it, it's not, there's nothing wrong with any of the clays. It's just that they're all different, right? And they all fire different. They all do different things. And some of them are better for this and some of them are better for that, right? So when you switch back and forth between brands, you're more likely to have problems because, you know, this one needs to fire a little bit differently than that one. Are any of your clays torch fireable? Oh, Wendy. Okay, you're going to get me onto this subject. So, you're going to love this. Okay, 5-star, I have 5 clays. Copper, and I'm doing this on purpose. I've used Easy 960 a lot. I haven't had a lot of... Okay, I'll go back and talk about that, Amber. Okay, so 5-star clays. Copper, red bronze, bronze, light bronze, white bronze. Okay, and I did that for a reason. The higher the tin content, the whiter the bronze is. Okay, so copper is 100% copper. Red bronze has a little bit of tin. Bronze has a little more tin. Light bronze has a little more tin. White bronze has a little more tin. Okay? It's the difference between the melt point of copper and tin that is going to cause it to be torch fireable or not torch fireable. Okay? So, copper, red bronze, bronze, I will say are torch fireable. Now, if you have never torch fired base metal before, that is a tricky thing to do. It is not like torch firing metal, silver metal clay. Okay, it is much, much, much more controlled. So what you're doing is, and I'll try to make it a little bit brief because it's way off topic for this one today. But we'll do that one. Actually, I'm actually teaching base metal certification class in October online. So I'll probably, before that happens, I'll probably do a couple more of these little Facebook things to see if people have some general questions that they might want to talk about in there. But basically, what you're doing is copper oxidizes when it's exposed to heat and oxygen. Well, oxygen, and does it more when it's hot, okay? We're gonna get it hot, right? So the oxide on the copper particles, if it happens before they get too hot, before they start to melt, right? If it gets oxide on there, they won't stick together, okay? So when you're torch firing base metals, you need to learn how to control the oxygen environment on that piece. Now, how do you do that if you don't have carbon? Can anybody answer that question? Come on. I know you can. Flame eats oxygen. Okay? So, big bushy flame. Keep it on that piece continuously. Don't, go like this with your torch, right? Get all of the oxygen off of that piece by sucking up the oxygen with that flame. Okay? That is how you torch fire base metal. It's much trickier. So that I'll leave it there because otherwise we're going to get really crazy. Okay, let's see. Amber. I've used Easy 960 a lot and haven't had a lot of comparison with PMC. I like the Classic for making things smaller. Yeah, that Classic was so much fun. It's gone. It's totally gone, which makes me so sad because it was really cool. I was just starting to develop some classes based on it. Okay, Terry, have you ever had problems with your joins coming apart in the kiln? On base metals, Terry, I think that's probably what you're talking about, on base metals. Yes, that is the shrinkage in the base metal. So what's happening is your joins, think of it this way. You want more metal in between. So I'm distracted. I'm off on silver. Oh, PMC3. Oh, your joins are coming apart on PMC3? That is weird. No, I have not had that problem. I'm thinking it's in your paste. It's gotta be. It's gotta be in your paste. Because you shouldn't have a significant shrinkage on it that would be pulling them apart like that. Okay, so try this. Are you using just water to connect? That could be one thing. If you're using paste, make your paste thicker. Okay. My little box from hell, I'll send you pics. Okay. Don't you love little boxes? Oh, I'll show you one. I'll grab one in a second here. Boxes, yeah. So don't use paste to connect your box. That's the answer to that. I'm sure you just love that answer. Hang on, I'll show you this. You're gonna love it. So I have a Camp PMC class that's being developed, and some of my very first tests are right here. This one, I can't remember the name of this shape. I knew it at one point. Let's see if I don't even know how to hold this. Okay, so I'm going to show it to you from the bottom. So it's got 6 pieces on the bottom, okay? It's got 6 sides, right? So it's a hexagon, but it's got this kind of bottom, which is what makes it not a hexagon. And then the top matches that, right? So this thing, has a little hinge, and then it's got the little hangy things on the side. That's the box, okay? So when I was learning how to make that, when I was figuring, yeah, exactly. That face is exactly right. It took me a few times, I will say. So when I was making this, I had to figure out, this was the harder part. Hang on, you can't even see this part, it's so little. See the lip on the lid? Those little stripes, those were the nightmare connections. So when I was making that thing, what I was running into, I needed to keep it thin because it was going to get too heavy for the size that it was, right? It was the thick walls were not working. It was a mess, okay? So I needed to keep the walls thin. And then when you would try to, when you would try to paste those walls together, they absolutely wouldn't stay together right. Because it was just distorting so much because it has so many pieces in it that you get so much distortion. So I quickly learned in a piece that's complicated like that, you have to use clay to connect your joints, no paste, okay? Hard rule. And the way that you do that is wet your edge a little bit, and that'll kind of help it stick together a little bit for you, right? And then take a little tiny ball of clay, roll it into a snake in your finger, right? Just tiny. We're talking real tiny, okay? Lay that in the seam, and then take your rubber tip sculptor and blend it into the pieces so that you might even be able to see that in there. Let's see. Yeah, you might. Yeah, let's see if I can find a pointer. It's tiny. Find a pointer here. Okay. So I'm gonna point it out on an edge that's not finished real well. Might be able to see it. So see how my corners look a little thicker than the walls? That's because there's a strip of clay up every join inside there. Okay, so hopefully that helps. So is that, Terry, have you been using paste or were you doing that with straight clay? So I'm thinking that's probably your problem. Are we talking like one tiny wall at a time and then letting it dry in between? Yes. Yes, Amber, we're talking about one tiny wall at a time. So the way that I do a complicated box like that, that one's got 6 sides on it, right? I do 2 walls and let those dry. And then I do the other 2 walls over here and let that dry, okay? So that's how, you know, and they don't have to dry all the way. They just need to dry enough that they're not gonna to bend or warp when you're putting it back together. That's the key, okay? Inside and out. No, I just do it inside. Now I'll fill the outside when I have the gaps, you know, because like sometimes your outside edge you can still see the seam really well. That I'll fill, but I'm not using it so much as a connection really. But I do fill it the same way though. I use straight clay because if you fill gaps with paste, once it dries, it's still shrinking. You're still gonna have a gap, and I don't know if you've ever noticed that, but if you have gaps and you fill it with paste and you fire it and it's got a gap again, and then you fill it with more paste and you fire it, and sometimes it'll take 2 or 3 firings to get that thing filled back up. That's because you're really not filling it with as much metal, and metal is all you have when it's done. So you're getting the shrinkage because it's just turning into just metal, right? You get rid of the water and you get rid of the binder. So it's not full, okay? So that's why I use straight clay to do those things, so that I don't have as much material that goes away, okay? I used some paste, expensive learning curve. Yeah, Terry. It is. It's tough, but I mean, if it's not destroyed, you could still be working on it. You can always add to it, make it more expensive. But it's never trash, right? You can see I got all these little crazy pieces of things in here that I don't throw them away. They'll get used for something. We just had one as an example, right? I'll show you. If it's close, I'll show you the other box. Hang on one sec. So, this will make you laugh again. Yeah, I got it. So, they got smaller and smaller. Yeah. So after building the complicated little hexagon box, I realized that there was no chance in the world that my students were going to be able to accomplish that in 2 days. So I had to come up with a different box for class. So this is the final box. I'll even show you the other samples because they're kind of cool. So this is the final box. This is going to be a Camp PMC class on boxes and hinges, okay? And it is a triangle shape, right? With hinges down the side. And it's got, oh, that's hard to see, but it's got a vine inside of it, okay? So you're gonna make dual hinges, right? And then the vine comes out of the top and comes, you know, down the back and stuff to make the bail part of it. So that was the final. That was, okay, I think my students can actually do this in 2 days. But this was another iteration that I kind of liked. But this was actually too simple. So here's one you can try with no teaching. How about that? Some experience, but no teaching. This is a little, like, what would you call, ship port window kind of thing. The hinge is not finished over here, the clasp part, but you'll get the idea. So it is 3-dimensional in that sense, right? You've got a front plate and a back plate and kind of a bezel wall sort of on it, right? And a, you know, little bail thing that sticks on top. Okay. Oh, thank you, you guys. And then you've got the little window that opens up and there's a little, you know, thing of fish and sea life and stuff like that inside there. So anyway, try that at home. That was a fun one. It was actually fun to make. Not hard enough. So we had to make something harder. Okay, so those are my crazy boxes. There's plenty of them around here, but those were the ones that I kind of settled on, so you guys get the idea. Okay, we got smaller and smaller. Yes. Okay. Terry, don't ever hesitate to reach out to me if you got questions when you're running into problems on stuff. You know I'm happy to help. I am always happy to help. And especially, I'm good with pictures. If you send me pictures, I'm like, oh yeah, just blankety, 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 blank. And I'm happy to help you do it. I enjoy seeing what comes out of that stuff anyway, because you guys think of much cooler things than me all the time. So, anyway. Okay. So, any other questions? Especially on, because I was supposed to technically be talking about patina today. Patina and polish. But do you have any other questions? On silver, on patina and polish, stone setting? I guess I could talk about stone setting more if you want to. Good. Okay, did you do a tutorial on the porthole? That'd be plenty hard for me. I didn't. So I didn't do that because thanks, Terry. I didn't do that because this was supposed to be a Camp PMC class, and I was looking for something that was going to be pretty challenging. That's really the goal of the class. It's supposed to be pretty hard to do, and that one was too easy. So I can actually tell you in about 5 seconds, and then everybody online on Facebook who sees this can practice it at home, and maybe I will make a class out of that eventually. Let me get it out so I can show you the parts. It's really not that hard. Okay. Okay. So you're going to roll 2 circles, okay? And, you know, that's about it's a little bigger than a quarter, but, and you could make it bigger than this. So you don't have to make it smaller, okay? But you're gonna roll, your designs are super nice, and the explanation is very logical and easy to understand. Thank you, Anka, I appreciate that. So roll two coin-sized pieces. Those are probably 3 cards thick, okay, with texture on them. One of them, cut another hole in the front of it, and you probably got 5mm border on that. 5mm difference between those 2 holes, okay? Let those dry, right? Then PMC3. So you could use PMC3 for this whole thing, but you need PMC3 for the piece that goes in between, okay? That striped part inside there. You can see how it actually goes in a little bit there, okay? So you're going to roll a 3-card strip and cut it into a straight line, okay? And you need to measure your piece, you know, how big you need that to be, okay? Let that air dry so that it's still flexible, and then bend it into a bezel, you know, so it's standing up, okay? Bend it into a bezel, connect the ends, connect it to the back plate, so lay it on top of the back plate, okay? And then lay the top plate on top of that. And you're gonna do those with paste, probably. You could probably get, when you connect the bezel to the back plate, you can get some straight clay along that connection. That would be a good idea for strength. When you put this top plate on it, you won't be able to do that. You'll only be able to use paste on that, okay? Okay, so that's putting the base of it together. Then, you know, you could do any bail you like. I just did this kind of little thing because it looked like it went really well with this ship kind of design, okay? So that's just a little tube of clay and a little jump ring piece of clay on top of it, okay? Okay, now for the top plate, this thing, okay? So this one, I rolled a 2-card thick circle that was bigger than the hole, and then cut this inside circle out about the same size as the hole, okay? Let that dry. These are extruded rods. So I use an extruder to do this. I extruded 3 rods to put on there as decoration, okay? But this hinge over here is extruded as well. So what I did was I extruded a rod that was probably, that's pretty thick. It was probably 3mm in diameter rod, solid, okay? Let that dry. I cut it to the length of this whole hinge, okay? I drilled a hole through the middle of it with a hand drill. So now I had a tube. Following? Okay. Then I cut it into 3 knuckles on this one. Now you could do 4 knuckles, you could do 5 knuckles, whatever you want to do. Okay, but I cut this one into 3 knuckles. Then you get to decide what kind of pin to use. Now I changed, this particular pin was a wire that I put in there and balled the ends up, okay? But I changed to use a different technique to do that, and that's why I'm teaching the Camp PMC class, because I like a different technique better. I extrude a very thin piece of clay into a rod. I put that, and so we're still talking clay, not fired, okay? I put that very thin pin, clay pin, inside the knuckles, okay? And put a ball of clay on each end of it. Now, let's see, maybe I can show that to you here. Okay, see those? Those are all clay, the whole thing. I fire the whole thing in place, all together, because you know how, if you've ever done that with a chain in metal clay or anything, they kind of stick a little bit, but they don't connect, they don't fuse together, okay? So it will still be all separate moving pieces. It's just all fired together. So now it fits perfectly together. That's why I like doing it that way. Okay. So is it finicky? Yes. Is it hard to do? Yes. But it's a nice way to do it. So you could do the hinge. The way that I did the hinge on this though was to make the 3 knuckles, attach the 3 knuckles, fire that piece, and then I put a wire in it and balled the ends of the wire. Okay. So hopefully, I mean, if you're a beginner, don't try that. But if you've got some experience, you know, feel free to go try to do this because it's fun. It's a cute little project. It's a lot of fun. It looks neat. Hinges are right. I can't read without my glasses on. Especially because I'm using my phone. Okay, hinges are a nightmare for me. I'll definitely try your method. Sounds good. So you like a clay pin better because of a better fit than a wired? Yes, I do. I like the clay pin better. How do you make the inside things? Oh, I'll answer the clay pin part first. Yes, I like the clay pin because it fits better. It also helps things align right. You know, like you're gonna put the whole finished hinge on your piece of clay. It's not gonna be, you know, oh, we gotta line this one up and line that one up and all of those things. It doesn't work that way. You're gonna make the whole hinge together and then put that on your clay. It works so much nicer. So much nicer. It's tough, but it's much nicer fit. Evelyn, how do you make the things inside? So I have a sculpting piece of advice for you. So this is what I tell all of my students. When you're sculpting, right, your eye sees what it wants to see. So if you're new and you aren't confident in sculpting skills, I want you to take something that is immediately recognizable and put it down on your work first. And then sculpt everything else, okay? Now I'm gonna show you what's inside this little piece, okay? It's a seafloor, right? There's a fish that's a mold. And that makes you immediately go, oh, that's what it is. So let me show you close up. Okay, so see that fish, right? Easy. You know it's sea life. That came from one of those little mini molds that we sell. I love those mini molds because it lets you do something like that really easily, okay? And then all of this other stuff is just rough clay that, you know, I put a little ball of clay in there and poked some spots on it to make it look like a rock. And I made a little curly one that looks like coral, and those tall ones on the side are supposed to be seaweed, right? That's all they are in there. So that's my tip for you, is always start with one recognizable item, and you can do that by using a mold for that. That helps. Okay. You're welcome. Okay, so we talked about a lot of stuff. That was a good day. I'm happy. You guys got any other questions for me while I'm on? Anybody online coming to the symposium? I am so looking forward to it. Believe me. Oh my gosh. I cannot wait. That's why I'm trying to get like all my last little things done. My video froze. Did you say that you attached the full length of clay tube for the hinge and then cut it into knuckles after it was attached to the piece? Ah, no. So when I do the clay hinge, okay, I extrude a wide piece, a fat piece. I drill a hole. I cut it into knuckles. I extrude a thin piece. I insert the thin piece into the knuckles. I cut off the ends and I put the balls of clay on the end to hold the whole hinge system, and then I attach that hinge system onto my clay. Hopefully that was concise enough. Oh, Evelyn, if you're thinking about it, you should definitely try, because I'm telling you, it is like in Canada. Oh, can't come. Oh, yeah, that does suck, Wendy. I know. All the things that we're missing because we can't travel. So if you can make it, now I'm reading other comments. Evelyn, definitely try. It is like that opportunity where you get to talk to people about nothing but metal clay. All of them just love talking about metal clay. And the thing that always makes me laugh is like, the show is from 9 to 6, I think, every day. Well, most of the days, right? But you wake up in the hotel and you go down for breakfast and everybody's down there and they're talking about metal clay already. And the show hasn't even started, and then everybody goes to dinner afterwards, and then, and it's just like continuous. It's so much fun. It really is. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody again. It's so wonderful to see them. Yes, I know, Terry. It does rot. That's the thing. I'm like, we talked about, should we discontinue, what are we going to do? And people are even asking us if we're going to have one next year and all that stuff. I'm like, you can't plan anything. This pandemic is just like the most unpredictable thing. Can you please come to Georgia? Oh, and I don't have a location in Georgia that I go to teach. I don't have a Georgia location. Do you have a location for me? No, I would like to. I end up doing really big shows most of the time because my time is getting shorter and shorter, it seems. So right now I do Tucson at the gym show in February. That's 2 weeks long of teaching. What is that word? Okay, I don't know what that word is. And Dalonga? What is that? You have to explain that more. So I do Tucson in February for the gem show. The symposium is August. I do Texas a couple times a year at Francesco Watson's studio. And Dahlonega. I don't know what that is. I have to look that up. Must be a Georgia studio. Yeah, it's gotta be. Yeah, I've never heard of that. I'll have to look that up. Okay. I'll look into it. My biggest challenge is with the traveling, the classes end up having to be longer because it needs to be hour north of Atlanta. Well, that's good. An hour north of Atlanta is not too bad for me, actually, because I think Atlanta is almost 6 hours now, so 5 hours for me. That's not too bad. I might be able to do that. You know what, Ann? Will you email me information on that? And then that way, if you have a connection with them, maybe I can get enough people that it makes it worthwhile to come down there. I could probably try to do that. My email is info, info, @clayrevolution.com. Email me that, and I'll try to figure out how to get down there. That'd be fun. I haven't been to Atlanta in a long time. So maybe I'll see you in Tucson. We were just there last week. Wait a minute. Driving back from California, yes. Okay, that makes sense. You had me so confused. I'm like, wait a minute. Why did you go through Tucson? Oh, Kent's Tools. Hey, Terry, I'm going to tease you with something. I don't know if I've ever told you this. You might like it. Okay, so for everybody else listening, there's a place in Tucson called Kent's Tools. Okay? And it is like tool heaven. It's just amazing. I always tease everybody because I've been in the basement there. You want to talk about tool heaven? We laughed so hard the year that I did that. I was like, I sent a picture out on Facebook, I think, that said, I'm in Kent's basement. That's like heaven. So, yeah, I love going there. I always end up with something I don't need. There's so much crazy stuff. We went from Oregon to Tennessee and back. Oh my gosh, wow. But that's a great drive, though. That's a really great drive. That's cool. Well, yeah, it would be cool if you could make it to Tucson next year. We're still trying to figure out the details. Still, with everything, it's just such a mess. Usually I'm like firm, I know what we're doing already. We got a house, we got everything. I'm still up in the air. I don't know what we're doing. I'm real broke saving money. Oh, does he do the wooden bezel tools? Oh, I know which ones you mean. For the hinge template. I know which ones you mean. Those bezel tools, Amber. No, he doesn't have those. I haven't seen those anywhere at a physical location. Just online. It's the only place. I've been kind of thinking about carrying those ourselves. I like them. I don't use them a lot, but I do like those. I do like those. I can't think of the name of them right now. Also, do you use PMC3 for the hinge? Yes, PMC3 for the hinge assembly, unless I'm doing it in a sterling, in which case I'll use 950 for it. Okay. They were so helpful, Kents. Yes. 19 states. Wow. That's cool, though. That's really cool. But you didn't make it to North Carolina if you'd stopped in Tennessee. You missed me barely. You know I'm like 4 hours from Tennessee. But that's okay. I will hold it against you. Oh, okay. Well, I probably need to get off here and get something to eat. I'm starving, and I still need to actually run this through the tumbler. Oh, okay, I got more questions. Pam East used to live an hour from me, and then she moved. Yeah, I know. Well, and that was why I had never really set up anything in Georgia, was because Pam kind of had it covered, you know. She taught a ton down there. What part of North Carolina? Hi, Mary. We are basically at the foot of the Blue Ridge Mountains on the Virginia border. We're kind of by Mount Airy, if that makes any sense at all. We are so in the middle of nowhere. That is so much, you know, I get it. Everybody tells me, oh, you know, your internet and all this stuff. I don't have a choice. This is it. This is as good as it's getting. We keep trying to get a cell tower. We don't even have a cell tower. But it's great. I love it out here. I absolutely love it. We have animals all over the place and all kinds of crazy stuff happening. So it's just fun. It's worth it. It's worth it. So, and I'm only an hour really from civilization, so it's not too bad. It's beautiful. Yeah. You have a great day too, Terry. You too, Amber. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Ann. And definitely send me that email. I will look into doing that. I'll see if we can figure out a way to get down there. I might even be able to do it before the end of the year. Might be able to do that. So that would be super cool. Okay, thank you, you guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye.